Aloha! You're listening to Body Worship, an oasis for the mind, a temple for the body, a sanctuary for the soul. I'm Anna Marie, and welcome to my podcast, where we explore the most cutting-edge alternative modalities, ancient rituals, and sacred practices that shaman, yogis, and healers from all corners of the world have practiced to deeply connect with Source. We'll discuss ways to advocate extreme self-care and align your emotional, mental, and spiritual mind, body, and soul. Thanks for tuning in to Body Worship. Welcome to another episode of Body Worship. Today we have two guests, Ron Searcy and Josh Rinaldi. Ron was introduced to the healing arts by his uncle, who was a chiropractor, Dr. PL, in the 1980s. And in the 90s, he made a decision to attend massage school in Philadelphia and rapidly became one of Atlantic City's and Philadelphia's premier massage therapists, specializing in craniosacral, advanced neck, shoulder, and back technique. Ron has worked in some of the top spas in Philadelphia and still holds a private practice, which he has had for 28 years. He has literally worked on tens of thousands of people to date. In the 90s, Ron began to study metaphysics and spirituality along with a plethora of energy healing modalities. He also became familiar with Drunvalo Melchizedek and his Flower of Life sacred geometry program. By 2002, Ron became one of the youngest facilitators for Drunvalo, teaching Merkaba science through the mental activation. In 2011, Drunvalo developed the School of Remembrance, facilitating the new science of the heart called Heart Coherence, for which Ron now teaches in the tri-state area, along with co-facilitator Josh Rinaldi. Using the information from the world's indigenous people, ancient knowledge from text and modern science, from HeartMath, the Electric Universe scientists, Dr. Flanagan, Dr. James Hart, Alex Gray, and many others, they were able to pull together everything for a much larger perspective of who we really are. Together with Josh Rinaldi, they put together a 6-week course called Circuitry of Spirit, and we are going to talk to them about that. But first, let me introduce you to Josh Rinaldi. Josh grew up in the mountains and forests of northern Pennsylvania. It was his connection to nature, coupled with some profound psychedelic experiences that opened doors in the subconscious that helped him discover his passion for the arts, music, and dance. Those experiences formed the foundation of a new way of understanding this reality. In 2006, Josh pursued an Associates of Science degree in audio engineering, while simultaneously doing lots of research on a vast number of subjects, such as meditation, crystals, ancient history, alternative forms of energy healing such as Reiki, tachyon technology, acutonics, DOS, discs, etc. Josh's journey of self-discovery brought him to Sedona, Arizona to begin his training with the School of Remembering in 2011. In April of 2013, it was off to Guadalajara, Mexico to complete his training to become certified by Drunvalo Melchizedek to teach the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop. Well, hello, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here at Body Worship, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us. Very much a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. And this is my first interview with two guests, so thank you for helping me figure this one out. We always start with tea at the top of the session. So, Ron, what are you drinking?
I'm actually having a ginger lemon tea, one of my favorites. 'Tis the season.
'Tis the season, yes. I know that's so good for your throat, and yeah, just this time of year, it's one of my favorites. And Josh, what about you?
I actually apologize. I was running a little bit late and I didn't have the chance to bring it with me.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I'm actually having a hibiscus and rose tea. The hibiscus is supposed to be good for blood pressure. It's all supposed to be really good for your liver and cleansing your blood. And it has anti-cancer properties in it. And then the rose hip is good for digestion and cleansing the blood, and also just making your stomach feel better. What I wanted to really get into is this course that you both are offering. And if your trailer is any indication of how amazing this is going to be, and I know it is. I absolutely cannot wait to take part in this course. It's revolutionary. Nobody else has done this. And I know you're using ancient wisdom and modern intelligence in order to coalesce your teaching. So can you please explain what your workshop is about? And Ron, I'll let you take the floor first.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you once again for having us.
You're welcome.
This workshop was put together by Josh and I. We both are facilitators for a body of work by Drunvalo Melchizedek, known as a 4-day program known as the Awakening the Illuminated Heart Workshop, based out of the School of Remembering. And this workshop was primarily geared towards educating people on what we know as heart coherence, which is the science of the heart. And it is a body of work that Drunvalo had gone around the planet and had interacted with many indigenous tribes, also some of the top scientists of today, and really helping pull together spirit and indigenous and metaphysics, bottlenecking it in together. So you can get a more of a spherical point of view of what's going on with this, with what we also known as the Merkaba light body, or the electrical body, or the vehicle or chariot, however you want to formulate it. You literally have an electrical anatomy. And so Josh and I were very blessed to come together and do some work together. We live in the same state, so often we get together. We decided that, you know what, as you look around the planet, nobody is really pulling the entire electrical anatomy together. We have a lot of incredible teachers out there that have shared with us, including Drunvalo, many levels of the electrical body. And you have work like Alex Grey, the visionary artist Alex Grey, and what he has helped provide in his art to give us a visual of this electrical body. And now we have institutions such as HeartMath department at Stanford University, what the data that they have discovered with these fields coming off the human body, coming from the heart, the department called it HeartMath. And then you look at places like Biocybernaut Institute in Vancouver with Dr. James Hart, and what he has documented in scientific journals concerning your third eye and your psychic bars and a halo around the head, which they actually, again, had the ability to document. So again, and there's more. You look around the Tibetans, and there's a lot of great people on this planet today doing some incredible work to help humanity turn the page. So Josh and I decided, let's pull all this collective global work together and present it in an online course. It's a 6-week course. We meet for the course itself is 90 minutes, and then we do a 30-minute Q&A. And each week we focus just on one section of the electrical anatomy. Because again, it's, we talk about how it's 3D here, everything's in threes. We were talking about this earlier. You have the X, Y, Z axis in math, father, mother, child, left, right, middle, hot, warm, cold, the sun, the moon, the earth, past, present, future, proton, electron, neutron, up, down, middle, white, black, gray, so on, etc. Well, with human health, we have mind, body, and spirit. So what is spirit? Going to church for an hour? No, that's not spirit. You literally have an electrical anatomy. And just like your physical anatomy, the electrical anatomy needs to be nurtured. Well, so, our whole intention is to let's show you what we've come to know collectively, globally, about the electrical anatomy, the meridians, the chakras, the heart stuff I mentioned already. That what do we know about the third eye and the psychic bars? What do we know about Merkaba, which is the entire light body with, in a nutshell, etc. That's generally what this course is about. And it's about focusing on, like I said, different aspects of the electrical anatomy so that we can pull it all in together and actually do something with it.
I love this. Like you said, there's nobody on the planet that is doing this and has pulled all this information together. So, Josh, how do you fit into this?
Without reiterating a lot of it, I feel like the whole class could basically be summed up in it's all about moving from mind consciousness to heart consciousness. And all of the world's issues, like there's a famous quote, I think it was Albert Einstein, correct me if I'm wrong, that said, or maybe it was Buckminster Fuller who said, we can't solve the world's problems at the same level of thinking that created them. And so we need to move beyond the mental construct that helped create everything that's happening and move into a new mode of thinking. And that's primarily what it's about. And like Ron said, we're tying in our electromagnetic anatomy and ancient wisdom and pulling from all these amazing old and modern sciences and creating this big picture perspective so people can start to see more clearly what's happening in the world and make decisions that are based more in a heart-centered awareness.
Right. So I know that there are 5 elements that make up the human body. Ron, do you want to explain what they are?
Okay, this is a huge question.
Okay.
And this is something that I personally feel is one of humanity's biggest misunderstandings.
Okay.
Because we're always taught that there are 4 elements. And some people say 5, some people say 6. Some people say metal and wood separately, but really they're from the earth. So to keep it simple, we say earth as one of them, meaning metal and wood. Okay, so let's just look at the elements real quick. We have
All right.
Water, right? We live on a water planet. We're mostly water, but look what we're doing to it. We're polluting the living daylights out of it. And,
Yes, we are.
And there's all kinds of water. I mean, thanks to the work of Emoto and many other people who followed up after his work, we know water is conscious. We have different types of water, structured water, unstructured water, ionized water, superionized water, clustered water, things of this nature. And and when you're dehydrated, what do? You don't even think. You just reach for a glass of water to rehydrate.
Right.
So water is a tangible element, and we're polluting it and disrespecting it. We don't really understand the consciousness of water. So that's one element. Then you have air. Look what we're doing to the air. We're polluting the air. We need the air. It's pollination, things of this nature. And then breath, doing breath work like Wim Hof, like his amazing work, or the work of Michelle Paccio. When you do this breath work, you can bring in massive amounts of chi. We'll get to that in a second. But air is very important. Look what we're doing to it.
And Stanley Groth as well. With holotropic breathing, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go to the next one. You have earth. Look what we're doing to the earth. Once again, we're polluting it. Your body's made of the minerals from the earth. When we sweat a soup of 90 nutrients. 90. You sweat your trace minerals and all your vitamins. So we drink Gatorade and put 6 back. That's why a lot of athletes break down and die early in life, because they're sweating out all their nutrients. We're not getting the nutrients back that we need and we used to. Like broccoli of today is not broccoli of 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Right, because of our soil.
Exactly. Our soil's depleted, so we're not getting those minerals back that we need. 90 of them, 90 nutrients, the mighty 90. So look at those 3 elements right there. Look what we're doing to those 3 elements. And then you have fire, which is a representation of the sun. Look what we're doing at the sun and other fire elements also, but the sun, the father of the fire element or heat, we're afraid of it. We're covering up. We're putting chemicals on our body. It's baking on our body. We have it all backwards, and it's very simple. And then there's a 5th element that most of our society doesn't even recognize or talk about. We're coming along. We're starting to wake up to it. But this 5th element is prana. It's chi, ether, tachyon, universal life force, ka, mana. I don't care what you want to call it. All over the world, it has a name to it. They used to call it the ethers, AETHER. And it's the most sacred of all the elements. It's found in the other elements. You find chi.
In everything.
Exactly. It's, like Native Americans say, it's universal life force. It's great spirit. It's moving through all things.
Everything is energy before it solidifies to the physical form.
Absolutely. And if people want to educate themselves on this, they can go right to the Electric Universe Symposium on YouTube. It's called the Thunderbolts Project. You got some brilliant scientists that have come together, and they can prove that the entire universe is governed by energy. When you go outside at night and you look at the night sky, you're looking at stars. What are stars? They're just light. Everything is just light at the end of the day. That's the importance of chi and bringing prana into your life. And That's why right now you're starting to see an explosion in consciousness with people waking up to the energy modalities such as yoga. When you go to yoga, first thing there should be teaching is breath work. What's the breath work called? It's called pranayama yogic breathing. Listen to that, prana breathing. So you're in there to learn how to breathe prana directly. When you see the Asians in the park and they're doing the Tai Chi and the Qigong, what are they doing with breath work and they know what we're talking about? They're just grabbing the chi in the atmosphere and they're pulling it into their light body, right? And what's Reiki? You're putting your hands together and you're turning on. Your hands are like the tuning fork, and you're turning on the Rei universal energy of Ki. Rei, universal, and Ki energy, Reiki. So these are energy modalities that you can tangibly touch, and you can tangibly start to activate your light body. So that's the importance of the elements and learning about them and getting a great quality of all five. And you'll change as a human being if you just focus on the five elements.
Also, anybody who works with energy knows that when you turn the energy on, and there's in Reiki a specific symbol for that, you're actually opening up and becoming a conduit so you can feel that energy running through you. And a lot of people, their first sign that they're a healer is that for some reason unknown to them until they start looking for it or it comes to them, their hands start warming up when they're around a person or a situation that needs to be healed, or their hands start pulsating. And that's because that chi energy is wanting to be expressed through that person as a conduit.
Absolutely.
And Josh, let me ask you, how did you begin your journey into this, training this material and the experiences that you teach with Ron?
So I begin the talks actually with this. I began everything with dancing, and that kind of seems maybe a little bit of a strange place to start. But like I was saying before, it's all about this heart consciousness, and I feel it was by following these things that I was excited about that led me to these truths that I found about life. And so it was by expressing my passions through music and dance that I eventually got connected with crystals, were the first thing to really come to me. It was at the crystal shop that the person there that was selling the crystals was also a Reiki master. And she, over a period of time of going there, eventually convinced me to get on the table. And I, after one session, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Where can I learn this? And it just really all started with Reiki. So, it was awesome that you guys were just speaking about that. I feel like it's like an energy 101. It's a really great place to start. And when I say that, I don't mean to demean it in any way. It's a very powerful energy modality. It's just a very simple modality and a great place for people to begin.
Yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I'm glad we could segue for you.
Absolutely. And so it was really crystals that kind of began this journey. And I was always interested in a lot of the conspiracy theories and things like that. And somewhere along the line, I got sacred geometry was kind of peeking its head up at me. And I stumbled upon this gentleman named Drunvalo, and it was actually a friend of mine who brought his DVD over my house. And I watched this, and after I saw it, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I went out and I bought the guy's books, and I read through the material there. And then I really wanted to take it seriously, and I ended up looking up the facilitators. And I think there were two people in Pennsylvania, and Ron was one of them, and he was the closer of the two. So I ended up driving to right outside of Philly at the time. And then the rest is kind of history. I did the class with Ron, and then I went out and trained with Drunvalo and ended up teaching these classes.
That is such a great entree into this whole field, is starting out with Drunvalo. That's really powerful.
It was, yeah. There was definitely, I kind of, shortened it a little bit there, but that is the bulk of it.
Okay. Yeah, I ended up finding Drunvalo kind of towards the end of everything else that I learned. And it just, when I read Flower of Life 1 and 2, I couldn't put either one down. And it just pulled everything I had learned together so powerfully. Thank you, Josh. And Ron, how did you get started on your journey?
I'm very fortunate. My mother was a true hippie. So I grew up around crystals and incense and things of this nature from the get-go. Plus, on my mother's father's side, genetically, my grandfather was a forensics chemist. So there was always this innate push to look outside the box, look outside or question things. My mom was always questioning the government and things of this nature.
And wasn't your grandfather one of the people who helped develop forensics?
Yeah, my great-grandfather actually invented a specific type of fingerprint powder and photography. So then my grandfather preceded his work, many of my family members, and they had a company. Actually, it was called Searchy Criminal Research. At a young age, I had interesting material around me. 1984, Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, Project Blue Book. These are things in the 70s that I had in my life.
Absolutely. Cool.
Didn't understand them. I was one to play, down the road, I could see where the seeds were planted. And then it just so happened I got involved in the spa industry and became a licensed massage therapist at age 20. And through the years of continued ed, I was learning this technique, constantly playing in what we call the healing arts, and laying on the hands. So I've been in the healing arts world for 28 years. I've been really fortunate that things have slowly but consistently for decades be presented in my lap.
And they build on each other.
Yeah, and you could tell which ones were true and which ones were congruent to each other. And the simpler things are, the more truth you can find in them and things of this nature. But what happened, I had my awakening in 97.
Okay.
After I had many years of stuff. It wasn't hard to throw me out of the box, but boy, I was thrown out of the box in 97. And it was a bottlenecking situation of learning Reiki. And also I was introduced to the work of Bob Frissell, which pretty much plagiarized Drunvalo's work. But thanks to Bob, I found out about Drunvalo, and a year later, Drunvalo's books came out in 99. And at the time, I was already deep into the alternative / healing arts world of Center City, Philadelphia. I've always worked in the top spas in the city, and I've always been around a lot of out-of-the-box healers. And we were already, we were playing with Reiki, acupuncture, and magnetic therapies, and all kinds of stuff. We were having fun. And we had shared earlier, I was also experimenting with MDMA, really pure, really clean in the club scene. So, you're out dancing with 250 people and you're all dancing together, very tribalistic, but very heart, because MDMA moves you from your head into your heart. Literally, it's what it's doing when it's pure.
Yeah, it's just pure heart. Yeah.
Right. You become very empathetic. And when you're in your heart and you don't have issues going on, you can have a possibility of tuning into other parts of your electrical body, which is what happened to me. And I was having experiences before I read the books. So as I was reading Celestine Prophecy in the late 90s there, and then finally Drew's books and things, and Greg Braden and all that, the logic started to come in. You were like, wow, because Drew, look what Drew does. He goes around and pulls indigenous work along with ancient text and modern science, really lays it out and turns big rocks over and says, hey, look at these people, look at this body of work over here. And he always gives credit where credit's due. And I've always loved that about his work. I see him as a metaphysical godfather. So, and that's really, it's just,
that's a great way to put that. He really is the metaphysical godfather.
Yeah. So it's been an incredible, amazing, divine journey, and it continues to roll itself out.
Awesome. And thank you for that. And Josh, I heard one of your workshops I was watching where you said, and then just now, Ron actually referenced that the longest journey is from our head to our heart. I heard this years ago. I use this a lot with my clients when I do workshop. So can you tell me, Josh, why is it so important to get out of our head and into our heart?
Well, like I said before, and it actually was Albert Einstein, I was Googling that real quick, that said we can't solve the world's problems at the same level of thinking that created them. So it's essential. It's literally essential for the survival of our species that we make this transition into our hearts.
Yes, it absolutely is. Just for the interest of time here, how will this workshop and this course that you both are offering, how will this impact the audience if they participate? And what kind of things do you see that really come together for your participants of your workshop? And Josh, I'll let you start.
There's always that look in somebody's eye that you see when they truly become inspired, sometimes maybe for the first time in their life, because you're establishing this connection back to our hearts, but really it's like this connection back to spirit, back to great spirit, like the source of inspiration, the source of creativity. So there's this newfound spark ignited that you can actually see in the people, and it's such a fulfilling thing to see that happen in people, and they go out into the world. I had a woman actually who it completely transformed her life. She just went back into her daily muggle life, as Ron would say, and just completely turned it around and found new ways to be excited about things and create more beauty in her life.
Beautiful. And do you see a transformation while you guys are doing workshops, Josh? Like, do you physically see people in the workshops? Do you see something just click on with them? Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. Even myself, I'll never forget when I was out in Sedona and it was day one and we're doing our thing. And then I had a conversation with this one gentleman. And then the third day came around after you go through the healing on day two. And he was telling me that even in that 72 hours from day one to day three, it was this huge, profound shift in even my own being. And I can see that in other people in real time as you're moving through and doing things. People just start to open up and shed layers and not be so afraid to express themselves.
Yeah, like you said, it's that reconnection with source that really awakens us. And when that happens, as you said, there's a spark in people's eye. And I've also seen the opposite of somebody going to war and then coming back, and then there was just disconnection and this deadness in their eyes. So thank you for that, Josh. Ron, can you answer that question?
Well, just to clarify what you were saying earlier, because Josh, we were talking about the quote by, his name is Andrew Bennett, and it's the longest journey you will ever take is the 18 inches from your head to your heart. And that is huge in understanding because from Drunvalo's point of view and from many people around the planet, the ascension process is literally just one understanding that they can leave their head, which is duality, polarity consciousness, right, wrong, good, evil, black, white, into a unified field, which is literally in the heart, the physical heart, which is throwing off these fields. And that is the end game. That's the end result of the multiple work that Josh and I are doing. The 6-week course, online course, is basically to educate people about the elements, what we just touched on, the significance of the fifth element, the most sacred element, and how you can directly, tangibly touch it. We can see it now. It's in the microwave range at 4 degrees Kelvin. We can see chi. It's unbelievable. So just like water, it's a tangible element, and the process is to educate people about your entire electrical body. And there's more, and we explain that when we're in our 6-week course. We're just laying out the more superficial aspects of it. But if we can get people in their heart at the end of the day, everything they need to understand is contained within them anyway, so they need nothing outside themselves. So that's the importance of the workshops, and you absolutely can see people transition. It's simple. People generally talk about how they feel 20, 30 pounds lighter because you're adding that last aspect. You can't just be X, Y, you have to add Z.
Correct.
right? And when people add Z into the equation, mind, body, and spirit, when they add the spiritual understanding, they go from checkers to chess. They're in a new ball game. They understand things differently. It's something that only can be experienced. We could talk to we're blue in the face. We can lay it all out. But unless you really go and do it, you never, it's just a conversation. But when you do it, it's divine. It's a no-brainer.
I really love that analogy of going from checkers to chess, because that is exactly what it's like. It's like you're on this board of life, this game of life, and you're going along just playing chess. And then when you start tapping into this esoteric knowledge, which is really ancient, it's who we are, you up your game so much, and your entire life, everything around you is just so much more rich and complex, and you can't go back. You can no longer see the world with the same lens that you did before. I love that analogy for that reason. Now, Josh, how do the listeners sign up for your workshop, and how do they find you?
Basically, you would just go to circuitryofspirit.com and you can find the information. It's email at circuitryofspirit.com. You send an email to that email address, and then we'll be able to send you the number, and you just go and download the Zoom application to your phone or iPad or whatever, or your home PC, and then you punch in that little telephone number that we give you on the day of the event, which is November 25th at 11 a.m., and you'll be in there with us at that point.
Okay, wonderful. And I am actually going to put all of your information below this podcast, so everybody can just go from there as well. And is there anything you guys want to say in closing? And Ron, I'll have you go first.
Well, again, I'd like to thank you for having us and giving us a platform to share this information. I personally feel one of my missions, if that's the word you want to use, to be here on this planet is to speak about energy related to Chi. It's in my last name, and I didn't plan it that way. My last name is Sir Chi.
Oh my gosh, it is.
So my friends kind of play around, and my wife pointed that out to me years ago after I was involved with energy. So I've seen Chi with my naked eyes. I've played with it for hours. It's very divine what the human body looks like on many levels. It's incredible, actually. It's so beautiful. I just want to plug in here real quick. There are some incredible people out there that I think they should look into their work. Evolving Humans website. It's an individual who's doing incredible work with energy healing. Master Joe out of California is doing some incredible things. Dr. Patrick Flanagan, one of my favorite people, he's the incarnate of Tesla. If you didn't know that, you could just look up Patrick Flanagan, and what he's doing with energy is incredible. Of course, HeartMath out of Stanford University, Dr. James Hart out of Bayer Cybernaut Institute, the Electric Universe Symposium, again, the Thunderbolts Project, of course, Drumvalo, Tom Kenyon, David Wilcox, Wisdom Teachings. There's a lot of incredible things on this planet for us, and it's time for us to wake up to it. It's very important to add that last aspect to the equation, X, Y, Z, Father, Mother, Child, mind, body, spirit. So just know, everyone, that you have an electrical body. It needs to be nurtured. Until you understand this, you're going to continue playing a duality, polarity, checkers consciousness. With that said, I just like to say I like to do my self-care. I love sitting in steam rooms. And it's something I just did before the podcast. And while I'm in there, I'm able to really feel the energy within and around my body. Thank you very much again. Love everybody.
Thank you, Ron. And Josh, what kinds of things do you like doing in order to, really practice self-care?
I think the biggest thing is the breath, actually. One thing that we kind of briefly passed by, I don't think we mentioned it this entire talk, is Wim Hof. And he has a 10-week training that I did actually the first 5 weeks, and I've been meaning to get back into it. I fell out for, life gets a little crazy, and sometimes we got to put some things down. But the breath. It's all about the breath and remaining connected to Mother Earth and Father Sky. I feel the unity breath, for anybody that's familiar with that, it's something that, towards the very beginning of this journey, when I was reading Living in the Heart and you learn about that meditation, I feel like it could really save your life. Like literally. Just being connected to Mother Earth and Father Sky and taking time every day just to breathe.
And it's a really great way to get into an altered consciousness as well. It's my favorite way. I'm not a huge visual person when I meditate, but once I start doing any kind of breath work, holotropic is what I practice. Oh my gosh, I just go into a completely transcendental state and I see all kinds of visions. And I mean, you just go to a different level.
It really is the original drug, if you want to call it that. And the yogis knew long ago that you could literally get stoned off the breath. And it's not really about being high, but it's about the fact that a lot of our illness today is a lack of oxygen in the blood.
Yes.
And by placing your attention on your breath every single day, you can help to turn that around.
I want to thank both of you. Thank you, Josh, for talking about that. That is one of my favorite ways to advocate self-care. And Ron, you're talking about sweating. I love far infrared saunas as well. So you both are, playing in the same field I am when it comes to advocating self-care. But thank you so much for your time today. Can't wait to have you back on again. We're going to be talking about reverse speech the next time you come on.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, you're welcome. And reverse speech is a great way to help the conscious mind. We were talking earlier about sacred geometry, so I look forward to facilitate that conversation.
Great. And you were telling me who we're going to have on the show when we do it?
Yeah, in my opinion, someone I've been following for 16 years, the premier reverse speech expert in the world is David Oates. You can go to his website, it's just David Oates, reverse speech. I think it's just David Oates, but he's amazing, and I'm actually he'll be my teacher at the end of the month. I start a 6-month course with him, and again, reverse speech is another form of communication. The science, if you want to look at understand the science of it, just go to davidoates.com. There's plenty on YouTube there. It's absolutely incredible. If people truly understood the possibilities of reverse speech, it's the end of all lying.
Absolutely. Well, I am super excited to have you back on with him and discuss this. And thank you again for giving me your time and letting our listeners learn about your incredible course.
And Cash, we'll see everyone on the 11/25 at 11 a.m. Eastern.
And that concludes tonight's episode. Be sure to check me out on my website, bodyworship.me, or my Facebook page, Body Worship Coach, where you can schedule a free initial consultation for personal empowerment coaching, holographic quantum long-distance healing sessions, the Happiness Project, which is known to stop panic attacks, anxiety, and depression within one session. I also offer past life regressions, workshops, and seminars. Join me next week to anoint your awareness with ancient knowledge and practices by tuning into another episode of Body Worship, an oasis for the mind, a temple for the body, a sanctuary for the soul. If you've enjoyed tonight's episode, be sure to subscribe and like the show at the link below. I'm Anna Marie with my lioness sidekick, Sophie, and you create an amazing day. Namaste.